Okay, so we're going to do a tier list. This tier list will be for all the bosses in Hades 2, all the NPCs, side characters in Hades 2, and all the gods in Hades 2. That's like the boons and stuff, the attacks and stuff like that. I will rate them based on myself using them. I have done 32 fear through Hades 2. So the fear is basically a modifier in the game. Once you beat the two main bosses in the game in the two different areas, you then unlock this thing called fear. Fear is basically modifiers for the game that makes the game harder, that makes the game like more health, faster opponents, they spawn quicker, you have less health, you have no mana, they do extra damage, you don't heal as much, all them sort of modifiers, right? And there's side content for 8, 16, and 32 fear, which is for the modifiers. I have done 32 modifiers on both and unlocked, done all the content for that. It goes up to, I think, 64 modifiers in total, but there's only content at the minute for 32 modifiers at the maximum. So we're going to rate this based on that. I'm also trying to do speed runs at the minute on Hades 2 just to get through the areas. My top area is 9 minutes and like 45 seconds, I think. My bottom area is around 9 minutes as well. Some people are hitting 6 minutes in the bottom area. I don't know how the hell they're managing to do that, but they are. Um, but I'm going to rate these tiers. I'm going to rate the stuff here, the Hades 2 characters on what my experience is at the moment. And we're obviously early access, so things can change, characters can change, skills can be buffed and nerfed, stuff like that. But this is at the minute, at the current patch, this is what we're rating our tier off. So we're going to go Chaos first, right? So Chaos is, you unlock him halfway through the game. He is probably A tier. When you unlock Chaos, you go through the areas, there'll be like a black circle on the floor next to the two doors you can go through. There'll be like a black area. Go through this black circle on the floor. It will take some of your health out. Like I said, it'll be like a trade. You drop down to Chaos. Chaos has very powerful boons. Basically, Chaos has a negative and a positive with the boons. In terms of the positives and negatives, for example, in 3 areas you go through, you will have 30% less movement speed. But after that, after them 3 areas are gone, you'll then gain 30% movement speed. And there'll be stuff like that for attack, and there'll be stuff like that for the defense, and there'll be stuff like that for movement speed, mana regen, mana, health, etc. And they've got all different types of boons. You can actually go through there 2 or 3 times, and I've had one where I've had can't use my special attacks or I take damage, but after 3 or 4 rounds, you get 79% extra special damage, right? So it's a trade-off. Sort of you lose a few rounds, but you gain for the rest of the game, for the rest of the run, you gain a positive boon. So Chaos is really good, and I definitely recommend him at the minute to be one you should always go with if you have the chance to go with them, because they don't spawn all the time in certain areas. So Kronos, he is the main boss for the bottom area. We are going to go with his attack patterns and stuff like that. At the minute, I'm speed running it at the minute, and I can kill him in about a minute to a minute and a half. He has 2 phases. Phase 1, it's loads of mobs around him. He spawns loads of mobs around him. He charges you and he slashes at you. When he charges at you, he leaves like a trail. Move out the way of the trail, in 3 seconds it blows up. Um, he'll just slice you with his scythe and he'll spawn mobs. And then he'll teleport from one area to the other, like one side of the map to the other. Have like a circle dome, which is immune to damage. And then he'll spawn mobs. That's the first phase. If you're using a ranged attack, just spam ranged. It'll kill all these mobs before he can spawn them quick enough. And just spam the ranged attack and he'll eventually just die. Just make sure you try and dodge his charge attacks. Second phase is he will spawn mobs. These mobs will die, and when they die, they do like an AoE effect. If you stand in the AoE, you will be stunned for like 2 seconds. And he'll also do a thing where he'll charge this attack up. You have to run to the area, the circle. If you don't get in that circle with it before the charge attack's done, you die. He'll do that 2 or 3 times. He's a B rank in my mind, because once you learn his 2 or 3 mechanics, you can pretty much just steamroll him. He's not the hardest boss. He looks cool though. He does look cool. He's got some nice dialogue. They're going to progress him for the story once they release the full content, because he's obviously the big bad end boss. He imprisons Hades, your father, in like a basement of the area where he is, the castle where he is. It used to be Hades. But yeah, he's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool character altogether. But the boss fight itself is pretty easy. So we have Siri. Siri is on the top area. Um, as you go through the top area before the last boss at the top area, Ares. Before her, you meet this girl here, Siri. She's a side content character. You go to her, she'll give you a buff. Her buffs will be 15% extra damage, and you turn to a giant, so you increase in size, but you 15% damage, or you shrink and your voice will change. So it's pretty cool dialogue, right? But your voice will change. You get 15% dodge and 15% movement speed. And she'll have another buff as well. I can't remember what other buff is. But she's pretty cool. It's not a nice dialogue. She's got some nice dialogue with her. You chat and get along and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But she's definitely sort of B tier in my opinion. Then we have Demeter. I think she's a grandmother of Melinoe, if I remember rightly. In my opinion, she's A tier. Why is she A tier? Because she has one special attack. When you run, it generates a cyclone. This cyclone will freeze all the opponents around you. It doesn't need to do a lot of damage, it just freezes them. In a speed run, that's like super handy, because it slows everything down. Just slows everything down, right? And you can get some attacks off quicker. You can slow the opponents down to stop them attacking you so quick. And when you get them rushed by like loads of opponents, right? She's really good. Her boons are ice, so her boons are freeze. Her boons are slowing the opponents down with like cyclones around you. Um, she has she has quite a lot of damage. It's not the most damage, but she's basically like a debuff more than anything else. So Cyclone is probably the best thing she's got in terms of debuffs and stuff. But her normal attacks and special attacks can also freeze opponents, which is pretty good. If you're just trying to get through the area rather than speed run it and just try and do it for the fear and stuff like that, for the modifiers, she's a pretty good one to choose. So that's why I think she's A tier. So, who are we going to go with next? We are going to go with Eris. Eris is the last boss on the top area, just after Siri. In terms of boss fights, she is probably A tier. I actually struggled with her at the start of the game when I first unlocked her and first went to fight her. You go to her area, she's very quick. She has a gun. She rapid fires like machine gun wise. She has a shotgun, so she will bombard you, fly in the air and bombard you with like bombs. She'll drop down. She'll do like a machine gun sort of spread, and you have to run behind these pillars to make sure you don't get hit by them. She will also teleport behind you, and when you take like half her health off, she will be enraged and she'll have 100% extra damage, and she'll do like the shotgun effect where she'll like rapid fire the shotgun effect. And if you're too close to her, she'll just shred you, right? It's like a shotgun effect, it'll just shred you. If you're smart about it, when she charges you, you can actually dodge out the way and she'll charge into like these barrels, and the barrels will explode and do like 500 damage to her. It's pretty cool. The fight is pretty cool. You have like 2 barriers you can dodge behind. She's quite easy to kill as long as you can dodge her attacks. If you can't dodge her attacks, you die real quick. It's just learning the mechanics, but she is a good boss fight. And when you do beat her, she goes back to your crossroads, your main hub, and then you can speak to her and you can get like a unique dialogue with her, and then you have like even like a hot tub bath with her and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I hope they make her dialogue better with Melinoe, because they get along, right? Even though they're like sort of enemies, they sort of get along. So hopefully they'll sort of improve that during the sort of main game when it gets released. So we're gonna go. I think it's Dora. I think it's Dora. I think her name's Dora. Put her in an S tier. She's basically Melinoe's best friend. She's a ghost. She's just a side character. You have unique dialogue of her. She's basically Melinoe's best friend. They live in the same tent basically in their crossroads. and she's just got cool dialogue, and she has like different animations, like a haunted animation and like a cute animation, and it's kind of cool, right? It's really cool how they do it. Hopefully, when the whole game gets released, they have a lot more dialogue of her, and I hope they sort of work out if they can turn her into a human or like she's a ghost, right? She's dead. But they always talk about how she used to, how if she can remember when she was human and stuff like that. So hopefully she'll regain her memories or something along them lines. I'm hoping she'll get some sort of dialogue. So we have Hades next. Hades is in the basement of where he used to be his kingdom, his basement. Kronos just took it over. He's in the basement, and Kronos has basically got him in shackles. You go through the last area at the bottom stages, and he's in there shackled up with the three-headed dog Cerberus sitting by his side. He doesn't really do a lot. He said, "Why are you here?" Blah blah blah. And then you say, "Yeah, I can free you." He's like, "No, don't do that." Well, you should really free him because like Melinoe goes and kills Kronos multiple times, and every time you go back there, he has different dialogue. Gives you buffs as well, but the buffs are just basically how to beat Kronos. So it'd be like 25% less health against Kronos. The enemies spawn less when you're fighting Kronos, and they're just like Kronos buffs. That's why he's sort of B tier. He don't really help you out apart from against Kronos. So yeah, that's why he's a B tier in my opinion. So Aphrodite is A tier. There's no question. So Aphrodite is close range combat for your melee and your ranged. She is also applies a debuff effect called weak. If you use weak when you cast your circle snare attack, any enemy gets pulled into the circle, and any enemy in the circle takes 20% more damage. That's really good against bosses. You can just slap it down while you're attacking them, and it does 20% more damage. She's really good with close range weapons, and yeah, she's just A tier in my opinion. So in terms of that, who else we got? Hecate. Hecate is obviously S tier. I say she's S tier because one, she's a mother. She's basically a mother figure. The Melinoid, as in a dialogue perspective and the gameplay sort of perspective. She's the boss of the Crossroads. She is Melinoid's sort of basically mother figure. They have some really cool dialogue. In terms of a boss, she is pretty easy to beat. She'll do AoE like spam attacks. You can dodge out of them. You do half her health. She'll spawn her minions. You kill the minions. She'll charge at you and try and do AoEs and fire attacks, like fire flamethrower style attacks. You hit her down, sort of 3/4 into her health bar. She'll then do some stupid attack, which basically turns you into a sheep. She'll cast like this. She'll cast like this spell, and it'll be like a fireball side sort of effect. It'll hit you and turn you into a sheep. You're a sheep for about 5 or 6 seconds. Then you come out as sheep and kill the enemy minions that she spawns, and then kill her. You can block. You can block her sheep spell if you have the frog familiar. The frog familiar will basically you can stand in front of you and block the attack. So that's one way of getting around it. The other way of getting around it is you can just dodge it. You can just dodge in and out for about 5 seconds. It will just eventually disappear. But in terms of her as a character in Hades 2, she's really, really cool. And yeah, I hope they get more dialogue with her as well as they release the main game as well. Because she's got a lot of dialogue, and even now she's got a lot of dialogue, and it's sort of a mother figure to Melinoe as they talk. You sort of get that sort of feeling and the sort of impression when they're talking along to each other. So Artemis is S tier. I would say Artemis is S tier for sure. She is a side character that helps you out when you go through a certain level. She'll pop up. She'll snipe the enemies while you're fighting the enemies on the level. She'll do 3,000 damage when she snipes them. When you beat all the people on the level and enemies on the level, she'll pop down and she'll have three buffs you can have, which will be critical strike chance, which marks the enemy and gives you like 20% critical strike chance. She'll chuck arrows out, so when you hit enemies with your special or normal attack, it will also do arrows. That's awesome. So you want to do that. That's just so it's either critical strike chance or extra damage. So that's why she's S tier in my opinion, because there's no negatives with her at all. It's just extra help for you. So we are gonna go. Who else we got now? We have got Hera. Hera is the mother. I think she's the mother of. I think she's the mum. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Hera is the mum of Melinoe. She is the queen, and she is A tier. So Hera, Hera is. She has a hitch effect, which is her debuff to the enemies. Basically, hitch marks the enemies. You can hit multiple enemies with this hitch, which when you just do a normal attack, you hit them, it marks them. I mean, when you hit an enemy that hasn't got hitch, it hits all the enemies that have got hitch, like a chain lightning effect. And I think you can do it like 6 or 7 people. I've done it to, right? So you can actually kill it's like a multiple chain lightning sort of debuff effect. It's kind of cool. She has a damage buff as well, like 80% damage to enemies who have hitch affected to him, blah 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 blah. So you do extra damage to the debuff, and you actually debuff people to chain lightning and attack them. So she's pretty good. She's pretty good. So who else we got? We got a Apollo. We got Apollo. Apollo is B tier in my opinion. I don't really use them much. I do speed runs. The only thing I use them for is basically his daze buff gives you, if you daze the enemy, you get backstab damage. So it does extra backstab damage. It stacks with your backstab damage on your daggers, your weapon daggers. So you can use daze and backstab, get extra 75% attack, backstab attack damage. Then you can get the extra 40% attack damage on your daggers as well. So you can get like a double stack of backstab damage. So that's what I use him for. He also has like a movement speed buff as well, I think. I'm pretty sure it's him. It has like 20% movement speed. That's really good as well. If you speed running, that's really good. But apart from that, I don't really use him for anything else. He's got some duo boons, so you can duo boon with the other gods, and basically combine 2 different gods to make 1 different skill. It's kind of cool how that works. All the gods have got it, but he's got quite a good duo skill. But he's B tier in my opinion. So we have got, is this one Hestia? She is A tier. Hestia is the fire god. She basically has AoE dot damage. When you max her out, Hestia has like, she does dot damage over time, and if you use like the 2 scepters, you can get this attack that does like a spinny ball attack. If you use her with that, it basically debuffs like 400 or 500 damage, and then you can get another skill of Hestia, which is then after 400 or 500 damage, that dot damage from fire turns into burst damage and just does a big damage, like instant damage hit. And so if you use that with the 2 scepters, do the spinny attack with the scepters, with the balls, you can do major dot damage, and then you can do burst damage like instantly as well. So it's pretty good how it works out, but she is like specific to certain types of weapons. Certain other weapons just don't really work with her. So you have to do it with a specific type of weapon. But she is damage wise, she's an A tier for sure. In terms of who else we got? So we got Chaos. This guy's an NPC character. He is probably C tier for me. Halfway throughout the game, you unlock Chaos. Like when you die, he'll come and give you some dialogue options. He'll go back to your main base in the crossroads. Then he'll give you some other dialogue options. He'll tell you some about some of the side quests, but he goes on about the free fates a lot. Um, he's sort of an NPC character at the side. He doesn't really do a lot. He has a bit of dialogue, but really, I didn't really get along really with him. He didn't really grab me and pull me in like the other characters did in the game. So he's sort of a side character to me. That's why he's a C tier. I don't really jam with him. You know what I mean? His dialogue didn't really hit me very hard. But I hope they do something with him to make him better when they release the full game. We got Melinoe. Obviously, Melinoe is the main character of Hades 2, who we use all the time. Her character model's spot on. Her dialogue spot on. She's got all different dialogue of all different characters in the whole game, all voice acted, spot on. Everything's really good. She's S tier for sure. I really like her. Her art design and everything. It's just the character design is just spot on. So we got Hermes, this one. So Hermes is the god of speed. He gives you dodge chance, which is really, really good. Especially if you're doing a fear run, like high fear run, dodge chance will save your life. He has speed, so he has movement speed. He has less mana. He has moves that do like less magic, so you get like buffs that do like less magic to use a skill, or this omega skill will use less magic. Blah 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 blah. So he's sort of a support style character in terms of boons and stuff like that. He's really good if you want the speed. The movement speed is really good on him. But yeah, he's sort of a support character. He doesn't really do much damage or anything like that. That's why he's a B tier, in my opinion. So Selena is the moon goddess. I rate her as C. Right? Why is she C? Because she's only got one good skill. She's only got one good skill, and that is the ability to use health potions 3 times as a base, and then you can upgrade her to like 6 or 7 potions. The rest of the skills are garbage. If you're doing a speed run with a weapon, you're wasting time if you use her skills. She has, when you use it, you use mana to charge it up, you get the charge up, and then you press the right trigger, I think it is on the controller or whatever it's on the keyboard, to use her skills. Her skills are garbage apart from the mana potion, health potion, sorry. That give you 25 health per potion. Apart from that, the rest of the skills are garbage. Don't bother using them. That's it, basically. Just don't use them. She needs a buff. She needs her skills to be revamped or something, because she's just garbage in my opinion. Apart from the health pots. So, in terms of that, who else have we got? We've got Zeus. Zeus is B tier. He has chain lightning. He has when you have less than 10 mana, he does chain lightning attacks every 5 seconds. And when you take damage, he does chain lightning attacks every 5 seconds. His main lightning attack is garbage. Basically, you hit the opponent, and like there'll be a cloud over their head for 3 seconds, and then it'll take like 100 damage. In a speed run, which I'm doing at the minute, and for fear runs when they have like 100% extra health, doesn't really do a lot, mate. Doesn't really do a lot. You know what I mean? It's just meh. It's just meh. He needs extra damage, right? It just doesn't on normal runs. It's okay, but it doesn't do a lot. It doesn't do. I don't rate him very high at all on this game. We have Arachne. Arachne is B tier. She go through the first area. I think it's the first couple of areas. You'll find Arachne is in a area by herself. She's a human that got turned, or god who got turned into a spider. For reasons you will find out through the story. I'm not going to tell you too much about the story. You'll learn it for yourself as you go through the game. But basically, she got turned to a spider. You go to her. She has 3 buffs. One will give you like extra mana regen plus a shield. One will give you I think it's shield and health, I think, and then shield and channeling speed or something like that. She's okay. She's B tier because the shield is good. If you want the shield is good, right? Because you take shield damage before you take health damage. So if you want to rock on that shield for the extra defense, she's good. Apart from that, her skills are like meh. You know what I mean? They're sort of B tier. They're not particularly good. Right. So in terms of whatever gods we got now, in terms of I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong, but Sheila in the rock band. This is one of the bosses. I am gonna put her as A tier. Why am I gonna put her as A tier? Because even though she's not the hardest fight, it's a cool boss fight, right, dude? It's just cool. So you fight a rock band. She's a singer, and you go against a drummer and a guitarist. Basically, you have to kill the drummer first, because the drummer will do like AoE damage on the floor, and there'll be like big red rings. So you kill the drummer off first, then go to the guitarist. The guitarist, all the guitarist will do is just push you with singing voice like vibrations. It will just push you to like one area of the map to the other. So kill her second, then kill the singer last. The singer will just like sing, and then there'll be like AoE things in front of her, like just to like hit anyone in front of her, sort of like a cone shape. So kill her last. When you kill her, she will revive the other 2 and then do the same thing over again. The fight itself isn't very hard. I think I've done it in about 30 seconds with the staff build when I was speedrunning it. It's not hard at all, but it is a cool fight, and the music is cool, the area design is cool, the models are cool. and it is a cool fight. It's just not a hard fight. But she's an A tier because it's just a cool fight, and we need more cool fights. You know what I mean? So we're gonna go in terms of boss fights. We're gonna go Cerberus. Cerberus is C tier. He's C tier because the fight is super easy. He does AoE stuff on the floor. You can literally spam attack him with ranged until he's like half health. He'll drop down to the floor and spawn mobs. You kill the mobs within like 10 seconds. He'll jump back up again, and then you can just spam attacks constantly to kill him. If you wait too long, he'll start shooting fireballs out of his mouth, and you just run around him. And then you shoot him in the back. He'll do like AoE, like stomps on the floor, and they erupt and stuff. But you see it all telemarked anyway, so you can see it coming. So it's not a hard fight at all. I done that on 32 Fear, and that was pretty easy. I done them in like less than a minute, and that was me sort of running around his attacks and stuff as well. So yeah, C tier in my opinion. Cool boss, but just too easy to fight with. I think it's Chevron. This guy here, he's D tier. He's literally just a shopkeeper. I think he like grumbles at you once or twice when you talk to him. But yeah, that's it. There's no dialogue to him. He's just a shopkeeper, dude. That's all I can say about it. You go. He's there every time you're at shopkeeper. Basically, you don't really talk. So yeah, he's D tier for me. In terms of, I don't know what this guy's name is. This guy's name is Charion? No, isn't that? That's the other guy. So, okay, so we're just gonna go. Okay, if we don't go with him, we'll go with. Okay, where was he? Hypnos. He's D tier. Right, so this Hypnos. From the start of the game, he's sleeping in the corner of your main area, the crossroads. He's just sleeping in the corner. You beat all the main area bosses. You progress through the story to the end. You go talk to him. He's still asleep. He does nothing throughout the entire game in the early access. He just does exactly the same thing on day one when you first start the game to like when you complete the game. He's doing exactly the same thing. He's literally just like background, just there in the background, right? So he's just D tier. He doesn't do anything. So yeah, he's D tier. Nemesis is pretty cool. I'm gonna put her as A because Nemesis is basically like Melinoe's like rival. They both want to kill Kronos. Melinoe has an advantage because she has the bloodline to be able to open the doors to get to Kronos, and Nemesis does not. Nemesis is she gives Hecate quite a hard time, sort of be rude to her and stuff like that. But basically, Hecate has promised her mum, Nemesis's mum, that she'll look after her and stuff, blah 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 blah. But basically, she's like hot headed, sort of. She wants to do everything herself. She's like badass, sort of muscly chick. And you go around the areas, and she will jump in the areas and challenge you to kill as many enemies as you can in a time limit. She'll try and beat you and stuff like that. So she's got some nice side dialogue. You can talk to her throughout the game, and she'll like sort of soften up to you eventually. And yeah, she's kind of cool. She's a cool character in the game, right? That's why she's A tier. So in terms of Poseidon is S tier. Poseidon has the best boons in the game. Poseidon has the best skills in the game. Poseidon has the best speed running stuff in the game. Poseidon has the best AoE in the game. Poseidon has everything you need to destroy anything in the game. I went through 32 Fear with Poseidon with the staff build and just use range attacks. I shredded everything. Absolutely everything. You get Poseidon 3 or 4 times, dude, you're golden. That's it. You're done. You can do that speed run in like 8 or 10 minutes, like the entire speed run. Poseidon is the most overpowered god in the game by far. That's not even close, dude. Not even close. When they do balance the game, I hope they don't nerf Poseidon. I just hope they buff all the other gods up to Poseidon's level. I don't want them to nerf Poseidon because I don't want them to make him too weak. If he's weak, then no one to use him. It'd just be garbage. At the minute, he is like a 10, and the rest of their gods are like a 7. You know what I mean? and they're the good gods. The other gods are like a 4. You know what I mean? Poseidon's like well up there. But yeah, he's definitely S tier by no, yeah, he's just S tier. So in terms of who else we got now, so Odysseus, this guy here he's C tier, right? He's in the base, he's in your main hub, sorry, he's in the crossroads. He is basically Hecate's. He does loads of jobs for Hecate. He basically sort of does the odd job here and there. You see him go out. You have some dialogue options with him. He's really cool. He's really cool. He has some dialogue options. You can have a hot bath. You can have a hot tub bath with him, which is kind of cool. As Melinoe, which is different. But yeah, apart from he has some cool dialogue. He's sort of like a bigger brother sort of figure to you. He sort of cares about you in a sense, but I don't really get much anything else with him. So that's why he's sort of C tier in my opinion. So this guy, I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce his name right. They know he's basically, I call him Skelly, right? The short of his name is Skelly. He is probably A tier. So Skelly is your training dummy in the game. As you go through the game, start the game, all the new weapons and skills you try on Skelly. He is like your training dummy. He's a real person, but he's like a training dummy. You can do all different combos and stuff with him in the areas to try out your new weapons and stuff. He will also have unique dialogue, which is pretty cool. He's like your instructor, blah 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 blah. When you do the fear 8, 16, and 32 fear, which is the modifiers in game, you will unlock a statue. You go to him to talk to him. When you talk to him, he will unlock a statue. When you see the statues, they're different statues of Melinoe. I will not tell you what they are. You can unlock them for yourself. But basically, they're unique dialogues, and Skelly's got quite a unique dialogue with Melinoe, and they've got quite good humor and stuff, and it's pretty good. As a character, he's really good. I like his dialogue, so he's A tier for me for sure. So we have Prometheus, which is the Cyclops dude. He is A tier. And he is probably him and Eris are the best bosses by sure. Cyclops, if you're a melee class, you're gonna have a really, really hard time, dude. Really hard time. His normal attacks are ground stomp, which every time he walks, there'll be an AoE, so you have to dodge it, and if you don't dodge it, you take quite a bit of damage. He has a move where he picks you up and he eats you, and when he eats you, he will regain health. He also picks up the sheep nearby and regains health that way. He jumps up in the air and slams like butt slam, not butt slam, but like foot slams the ground, and a big AoE comes out, and he'll be like right next to you as well. He does like attacks, like normal attacks and stuff. He's like basically he's like a meat shield, right? And you can kill him pretty quickly if you've got ranged attacks, but if you've got melee attacks, you can have a hard time. The fight itself is pretty easy, but you do have to keep on your toes because he does spawn ads and stuff as well. But yeah, it's a cool fight, and that's why it's A tier in my opinion. Who else we got? So we have got. We have who else we got? We have got. Is that Dora? No, it's not Dora. Is it? Dora's the other one. No, what's her name? Her name is. I'm trying to remember what her name is. Well, we've got Hedephius, which is the other god. Right, we'll leave her for a second. I'll remember her name in a minute. Hedephius is probably a B minus, right? He is basically his boons don't really work with me very well. So his boons are they're just not the best for me because I just don't like the fact that his boons they never seem to work for me at all. They're like they're sort of damage. They're sort of good damage in a sense, but they don't. They do like there's a circular skill with him that it makes your snare circle smaller, but attacks 3 times in a row, and it does damage. It does like 50 damage or something, but it doesn't really hit very hard, right? Because it does. It's good at the start, but it's garbage afterwards. And basically, his boons are like defensive buffs, flat damage buffs, and I think you can get like temporary invulnerability for like 8 seconds at the start of a round as well. I just never use them. I think his duo boons are really good when you switch them with another god. They're pretty good. but as like by himself, nah, he's not very good with me. Like he's definitely like a B minus. He's not C. He's still got good. He's still got good attacks, but it's not really there, right? It's just not. So who else we got? We got I can't pronounce his name. Is it try and pronounce that guy's name? So this guy, where is his name? I had it in my head a minute ago. Now it's gone. For me, no, that's the Cyclops. We got the. Okay, so basically, all these four here, these are side characters. All these four are basically going through the levels, and they give you like the little buffs, right? These are like the little buffs you get from going through the levels themselves. I'm trying to find what his bloody name is. Jesus Christ, I can't remember if I find it. But basically, these are all side characters, and I'm going to put these all as C tier, right? None of these stick out to me whatsoever, right? None of these characters stick out. I know this guy here, he's like self-important. He cares about his looks. He's just like he just cares about his looks all the time. You talk to him, or he's like super vain. He don't really care about anyone else apart from himself. You talk to him, you get a couple of boons off him. His boons aren't very good in a sense. He'll give you like extra health, extra mana. He'll give you like give you gold, and he'll give you. I give you. I think he might get you a level up on one of your skills as well, but he's not very good. In a second area, on the upper levels, as you go to the upper levels, you go to a city, and in the city, she will be here. This girl here is a witch. She has like a cauldron, and she'll give you buffs that are like. God, what are her buffs? Her buffs are like I think it's extra damage or extra health. I can't remember. I never even use her very much. I'm trying to remember what she's called, but she's just not. I can't remember what her bloody name is. So that's how much I remember these characters, because these characters don't stick out to me whatsoever, which is annoying. But I say these four characters that they're C tier, they're not very good. They have dialogue options in the game, but they don't really stick out to me. But anyway, this is basically my tier list. At the minute, it can change. It can change. Obviously, they're gonna change because they're gonna add more content. They're gonna change the patch. They're gonna change the patch. It's gonna be nerfed and balanced and stuff like that. But that's basically how the tier is at the minute for Hades 2 for me at the game in a minute. And if you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.